Hi, this is Mr. Kinzer, and this is the RGES Mid-High Lesson 27, History. And today we'd like you to turn to your notebook, and in your history notebook you would add this to your most recent notes. Go ahead and put a title there for L27, History, and go ahead and put today's date. So this would be 3/17 if you are the Tuesday class, or this would be 3/19 if you are the Thursday class. So go ahead and put down 3/19 or 3/17, and then be sure to circle that, and that way you know where those notes start. We're today going to talk about not much about actual history, but forming an outline for your paper. You all have now collected your note cards, and you now are going to be completing that this week and writing an outline. So an outline is simply an organized, kind of almost like a listing of the topics that you're going to cover in your paper. So you would put your title. Let's say your title is about Julius Caesar. Let's just say you put Julius Caesar. He's the person that you're writing your paper on, and that would be the title. And then you'd put outline, of course. Then you put on the edge of your paper. Let's say the edge of your paper is here, and you've got your notebook punch holes. You would put here's your margin on that edge, and let's say way over here is your other side of your paper. Well, you always use Roman numerals when you begin your major section. So your first Roman numeral goes in the margin. Make sure it's in the margin, and make sure it's using a big I, big one Roman numeral. Also make sure that you have a period there next to it. Now, this is going to be, this first point is your introduction. So you would label it introduction. You're going to have an introductory paragraph, and I'm just going to put the little symbol for paragraph. And then in that introduction, you are going to really state some of the things about Caesar that you found very interesting, and some kind of general information. Maybe you're going to state that Julius Caesar was obviously a famous general. He was assassinated. He was in a famous play by William Shakespeare. All of those are interesting facts, and you're going to do some general facts, but you are going to end up with a topic sentence. And your topic sentence is going to be, sometimes this is called the thesis sentence, and so you're going to put that right there at the end of your introduction. And on this outline, you're actually going to write out your topic sentence, your thesis. So I'm going to put down to write out that entire sentence, and you want 3 important points. So find the 3 most important things that you learned about Caesar, and these 3 important points are going to be incorporated into your topic sentence. Now, it's important that as you think about your topic or your thesis statement, that you really select the 3 most important items that you found out about Julius Caesar, and you want to focus on those 3 items in your paper. So, for instance, for Julius Caesar, as you look through your note cards, or if you have a different topic, let's say you're doing one on Hannibal, or you're doing one on life in Rome, or you're doing one on Greek gods and goddesses. Let's just say, for any of those, look through all of your note cards and find the three most important details that seem to be the key points of your person or your topic. So for Caesar, we might think, well, he was a famous Roman general. He had a lot of different campaigns. He conquered Gaul, which is today's France. He conquered England. He invaded the island of England. He actually invaded into Germany. He conquered Switzerland. You know, he's got a number of conquests. So obviously, being a general, that's a big one for Caesar. Another big one is that he's a very famous person who was assassinated, as we know. So his assassination is probably a big feature, a big point that you'd like to bring out in your paper, an important detail. And then thirdly, maybe, the fact that he almost became the first Roman emperor. He was stopped by the assassination, but he kind of started off this trend now that became the way they were governed, of having an emperor. So maybe your sentence that you would write in this, and I'm just going to kind of scribble it out, you might say, Julius Caesar, a famous Roman general, was assassinated at the Senate, or at the Roman Senate, and almost became the first Roman emperor, making his life a shift from the ancient Roman Republic to the modern Roman Empire. So notice you've kind of made this great statement about Caesar, kind of summarizing his life, but you have those three statements: that he's, number one, a very famous Roman general; number two, his assassination is maybe the most famous assassination in all of history; and thirdly, he was the first, almost became the first emperor. And those three things together really define much of what you learned about Caesar. So those would be three good points. You need to work on your statement. This will require the most time and effort of your entire outline. And so if you find yourself pulling together this outline, you should, and say it takes 2 hours to do that. That's probably reasonable to be looking. I would say about 45 minutes to an hour, you're working on this part right here, this thesis sentence, because you're finding the three most important points, and then you're stating them very clearly. So I'm going to put down, make a clear statement. That's what your thesis is. Someone should be able to look at your thesis or your topic sentence, and they would know what the whole paper is about, because they can see the three major points, and it should also be an interesting statement. Just like when you did a play, or not a play, but when you did your speech, you made it a very interesting statement to draw the audience's attention. Remember that? You worked on that. You decided to put an interesting fact. You did a quote, or you with a famous saying, or you used a scripture in a speech. Well, it's a little different here. Here, you want to select the three important key ideas about Caesar or your topic, but you want to state it very clearly. It's a clear statement, and it's got to be an interesting statement. Okay, so that's the introduction. Now, as you have been looking at your cards, the next step, you've got those three major points, but the next step is to separate your cards, sort them out into piles by topic. So you might have several cards about Caesar's childhood. You might have several facts about his conquest of Gaul. You might have several important things that you found out about a siege that he conducted. There's a very famous siege called the Siege of Alesia in Gaul that he conducted. You might have several cards, several facts about when he was a consul of Rome. You might have several about his assassination. You might have several about some of the ideas he had for government or some of the projects he wanted to do. You might have several cards about his friends or allies. You might have several that you find. And so you sort all of these cards out into various piles. So you probably will have 7 or 8 or 9 piles of different topics. And those piles now, you have to look at those piles and decide, do I want to use all of those facts in my paper, or do I need to eliminate some? And do I need to add some? Do I need to do a little more research and add or expand on some? So you are evaluating as you look at these piles. But the piles become the topics of your paper. And so here's the edge of your paper that I'm drawing, again, with the holes that are punched in your paper. And so you've had your introduction, point 1, that you can see there on the top of your paper. And now you work down and you put point 2. Again, here's the thing, that these are right above each other. You've got these points are on top. They're straight. You could put a ruler on the side of your page, and these would line up. So let's say that second group of this little pile might be his early life. So you label that. You've got several piles on his early life, little cards on his early life. And let's say you've got 3 or 4 key points there on his early life. And so you put point A, his where he was born. You maybe number B, a second point, is his education. Maybe you found that he went to 3 different schools. So you're now going to put the name of those schools. And you're going to talk maybe about what he learned in each of those schools. So notice you go from Roman numeral to capital A, B, C, however, major points, it depends on how many cards you have, to 1, 2, 3. Under B, you've got these 3 points. So the idea is you keep these capital letters straight up the page, straight up and down. These ordinal numbers, which are 1, 2, and 3, they're straight up and down. And of course, the Roman numeral 1, Roman numeral 2, Roman numeral 3, those are straight up and down. Okay, so let's continue on down the page. You've got one paragraph now that is his early life. Okay, let's go to paragraph, the next one. Let's say, as you look at your cards, you've got another one about his time as a soldier in Rome. Let's say he served, you found several cards about his early soldiering, and he's a soldier there. So let's say you've got a couple facts about what he learned as a soldier and how maybe that shaped his character. Okay, so that may be all that you have for that. And then you've got the next group of cards. So you use Roman numeral 4. Let's say that this is his promotion to general, and maybe he, you found some interesting information there. So you got promotion to general, and so you can see a pattern emerging here. Each topic is expanded on, and you use first a Roman numeral, then capital A, capital B, and then subpoints 1, 2, and 3. And that's usually about as detailed as you get in this type of outline. Now, as you continue, and let's go ahead and put this edge of the paper in again. We've had point 4, Roman numeral 4. So let's say point 5 is a new topic that you've got. A different pile of cards. Now you get into his conquest of Gaul. And I'll put conquest of Gaul. You're focusing in on a specific campaign, and there's several points. Maybe point C, as you look at your cards, might be a siege of Elysia, as an example. And there might be several subpoints, how they besieged this camp and won this battle. So then we come down to point 6, Roman numeral 6, and these Roman numerals are now becoming the topics of your paper, and really what you are, the major topics that you're covering. So let's say that as you make your outline, that it as you go on, you get all the way down. You have Roman numeral 6, Roman numeral 7, Roman numeral 8, Roman numeral 9. Let's say about that point you're running out, you're down to his assassination. So Roman numeral 10. Let's say you come to almost to the very last topic. You want to do kind of a review, just a summary. You're kind of beginning to summarize. So you could label that paragraph of your paper a summary of his achievements, or maybe it's a summary of the impact of his policies, or the impact of his generalship, or the impact on Rome as it expanded. Whatever you see in your cards, you probably want to write a summary, and what are his most important achievements. Now you're getting down to the very end of your paper, and your last paragraph is going to be 11, or maybe as you've done it, you've got 15 of these. That's okay. Or 14, or whatever you've got. But in this case, we've got 11. Now we write our conclusion. Now the conclusion paragraph is really very simple. It restates your topic sentence. So you state those 3 major points, the 3 points of the topic. You restate them in your own, of course, all of this is in your own words, right? And you restate these differently than you have in that thesis statement in the introduction. So it's different. It's going to be same sequence, the same 3 points, but they're stated a little differently. And then you write a summary. You are going to summarize his life in just about 4 or 5 sentences. So it's real clear. You restate those 3 points, and then you give a summary in 4 or 5 other sentences that finish out the conclusion. So there you go. You have spent probably about 2 hours sorting your cards, forming an outline, and now you have a pattern. You have a plan for writing your paper. That's what an outline does, is it gives you a plan. And now the next step, which we'll be doing on a future week, we'll begin writing the paper using that outline. And so I want you to spend time this week putting that outline together as you sort your cards into piles, and I want you to spend most of your time on that topic sentence. Make sure you've got a good, clear topic sentence with 3 major points. Thank you. Okay, Marcy. Mars.
Yeah.
I've got that one done.
Well, look at you just simming through them like a pro.
Well, I'm learning.
I'm proud of you, John.
I'm learning.
I was praying for you today that this would be easy, not hard for you.
Yeah, good. Well, at least I haven't erased anything. Now, I did put it on pause, so
Okay.
I didn't. I guess you wanted me to go back to unpause and then record, but then hit stop recording.
You actually don't even have to hit unpause.
Can you
Yeah,
hit
you
the
could just
stop
stop.
recording?